You know, some people say I'm crazy. I've been called crazy old man. I've been called the crazy dirty old man. I've been called the wise crazy old man. I've been called the crazy old white man. People keep saying I'm crazy. Well, to you people, thank you, because you're right. And now I'm a crazy old DJ on Bee97FM.
Bee97FM, real radio for real people.
The slave ships came from Western Africa. For them, the black slaves were nothing more than merchandise. They weren't even considered human beings. Almost everything was forbidden to them. They weren't allowed to interact with whites. They lived in large cabins without hygiene facilities. They were poorly fed and had to work long, strenuous hours. Complaints brought prison and torture. Any attempt to escape was futile, because the fugitives were easily captured and executed. It was only a slave. For them, a black man was a beast of burden. But they were wrong. They never realized that blacks, just like whites, could understand one another and were capable of creating their own culture, American black society. The black race has a great intrinsic sense of singing, rhythm, and music. Singing their own songs helped them to make it through the days of back-breaking forced labor. As one can observe, the words were of no special importance. What mattered was the rhythm. When the rhythm was fast, the work was finished sooner.
What's the matter with you? Oh, man, gonna leave you. Oh, man, gonna leave you. Oh, man.
Take it to the captain.
Let's listen to an example. Notice how it maintains its primitive power, even though it has evolved with the passage of time.
Tell him I'm one. Nah, I don't want no more cornbread and molasses. I don't want no cornbread and molasses. It hurts my pride. Man, it hurts my pride. So take the soul hammer. Man, take it to the captain. Yes, take your soul hammer. Man, take it to the captain and tell him I'm gone. Man, tell him I'm gone. Now, if he asked you, was I running? Man, if he asked you, was I running? You can tell him I was flying.
200 years later, in the middle of the 18th century, the ones who came later decided that they wanted to be Americans. The fight was long and hard, but the troops of the Continental Army, under the command of George Washington, were able to expel the British, leaving only a few territories in the South and the West under control of the Spanish and the French. In time, these territories too would become part of the United States. They declared their independence and established a federal constitution. A nation of nations, a culture of cultures. The fledgling nation was initially composed of only 13 states, but other states were added with time, eventually bringing the total to 50. However, there was one aspect of the Constitution that they were unable to agree upon: the abolition of slavery. After extensive discussions that lasted more than 5 years, faced with the prospect of the southern states separating from the north, they decided to choose a comfortable solution. Slavery definitively ceased to exist in the north between 1775 and 1780, while the practice was allowed to continue in the southern states, Virginia, the two Carolinas, Georgia, and Delaware, and the later additions of Alabama and Mississippi, which at that time were the minority. The colonization of a continent as large as America brought together a great variety of races, cultures, and of course, religions. The misfortune and misery of the slaves provided rich soil for all kinds of preachers, who told them how easy it would be for them to enter the kingdom of heaven, since they were so unfortunate here on earth. On Sundays, blacks attended the same religious events as whites, but they expressed their religious fervor in their own way. At the black spirituals, there were no impediments for blacks to express their fervor with singing, with the rhythm of their hands and feet, and, at the moments of greatest exaltation, with jumping and dancing. Without knowing it, they had changed their god. Before it had been a black god, and now it would be a white god. For them, they were still slaves. This unusual practice calmed the souls of the faithful, who returned to their filthy shacks, exhausted, but much more resigned to their station, for God had promised them freedom. Escapes and revolts were less frequent. In the North, people did not want slavery to continue. In 1860, the nation elected its first abolitionist president, Abraham Lincoln. This was not appreciated by the southern states, which, afraid that their boat would be sunk, decided to secede from the Union. They established a confederation, but 1 year later, this act provoked the Civil War.